Hello and welcome to the Filmbox Podcast, the greatest movie podcast in the whole wide world. I'm your host, Count Aaron. I didn't think of a better name. And I'm joined by Count Connor and Count Sam, my wonderful co-vampires. Hello, boys. How are you doing today?
Doing great. As you can tell, Aaron said he couldn't think of a better name because
We did this once already.
so I had to
I-
listen to Aaron's
We're all
stupid Count Dracula voice twice already. So
listen.
It was so good that Connor completely froze the first time.
We're all trying to find the guy responsible for this.
Oh my god. This is the Film Box podcast where impressions are free.
Impressions are free. I think you should leave bits run aplenty, and
Yes.
Connor's technical difficulties never stop.
and if
Yep.
this is your first listen,
I'm sorry.
Welcome.
Oh man. So it's spooky month. It's October. It's finally here. And in order to celebrate, we decided to do we're gonna do, usually every year we do like horror movies or some kind of theme around Halloween. This year we're doing monster movies. So we're gonna be, all month we're gonna be reviewing some of the classic monster movies, starting with Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. So that's what we're reviewing on today's episode, and thus why um, Count
Count Aaron came out
Count
to play.
Count Dipshit at the beginning of the pod is here. He might be a recurring character this month. Well, just maybe.
Who's to
Um,
say?
Who's to say? But anyways, yeah. So before we get into the full review, we gotta talk about we got a couple things to do. We gotta talk about what we've been watching lately, and also, we have a little game to play before we talk about the review. So, let's get into it. Who wants to talk about what they've been watching lately first?
I'll go.
All right.
Well, so it's been a couple weeks since we last recorded, so I got to catch up on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched quite a few rewatches, and then quite a few new movies haven't seen. So starting off with my rewatches, I rewatched The Dark Knight Rises, Austin Powers Goldmember,
Mm.
Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. Those two were just on TV. As well as Spaceballs. And then I was in the mood for some emotional stuff, so I rewatched Spirited Away.
Oh, nice.
Great.
And then I also I rewatched The A-Team. I haven't seen that one.
That's a
I haven't
choice.
seen that one. I haven't seen that one in quite some time.
That is a choice, certainly.
As for the new watches I've seen, I finally got around to seeing Civil War.
Yeah, what'd you think?
It was good. I like
Mm.
how it was different, and rather than just like a solid like a solo military movie,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it centered around a different aspect. And then I watched the 2014 Hercules with our best our favorite actor, Dwayne Johnson.
The
That one.
worst. That one.
Soon to be Apocalypse. The Rock.
Yeah. And then I had this movie on my watch list for quite some time. I finally got around to seeing is Howl's Moving Castle.
Ooh,
Another
Yeah,
Studio
that's a
Ghibli.
good one.
That's a
nice.
good one. And then I finished it off with Bram Stoker's Dracula,
Very
which I
nice.
have not seen. So
Very nice. I'll go next because I don't have a ton of movies, surprisingly. Since we last recorded, I've just been kind of all over the place doing a whole bunch of stuff. But I had the chance to see Sing Sing, which is truly just phenomenal. It is an amazing movie. One of my favorites of the year. I gave it a 5 star. So if you can see it, go see it. When it's available on digital, absolutely watch it. It's phenomenal. Then I watched Killer Heat, which is the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Shailene Woodley, Richard Madden mystery kind of detective movie. Not great. I liked it. Um, but it was like the, the whole movie is like I mean, you literally see the twist coming from the second, like from like minute 5. You know what's happening. And I spent the whole movie like hoping that it wasn't going to be that, and then it was, and I was like, "Great. That's cool." Then I watched The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Just cuz I needed something to, something entertaining. So I watched that. That was really good. Had the chance to go see We Live in Time prior to its release. Um, I can't really say much about it, but I enjoyed it. I'll say that. And then watched Bram Stoker's Dracula. Dracula for today's episode. Dracula, as they say in the movie, Dracula. But that's it. I also don't have anything to drink today. I just realized I have nothing. But anyways,
I have two drinks if you want one.
oh okay, yeah, just pass me one through the screen.
Yeah. So even more surprising, I also did not watch a ton of movies since we've last recorded. Been busy. I was dog sitting. And honestly, kind of just been watching a lot of TV. I know I told you guys, but really been binging Secret Lives of Mormon Wives with my girlfriend Erin. Even though it's one season, only like 8 episodes, but
Oh God, that's it.
it's juicy. Yeah.
I also, yeah, I want to mention you brought it up a little bit. The Filmbox boys were together in person for the first time in a long time over the last
Mhm.
weekend, so that was a lot of fun.
Since what? Like
College,
2019, 2018?
probably.
It was college, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years, and we have not even been in person like through the whole length of it.
Mhm.
All three of us. But
It's the
now
power
we
of the
have.
internet.
Yes.
But also since you brought up the Batman too, I've been watching the Penguin too,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's on my list.
which is
Same.
weird because like it's really good and I really like it, but there's just something about it where it's just like I don't know how I can put it, but it's just like I don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if I like. It's very much like a like The Sopranos. Like it's very much just like a mafia
Yeah.
show. I just don't. Those movies just never appeal to me
Yeah, that's fair.
or shows. But anyway, movies. So I watched His Three Daughters.
Mm.
Uh, very good on Netflix.
I need to see
Carrie
it.
Coon, Natasha Lyonne, Elizabeth Olsen, just three incredible actresses, just acting their asses off with each other. Phenomenal. And then started October, and it's my mission to watch a new horror movie every single day. And so far, so good. It's only 3 days in, and I've stuck to
He's
it.
on track. He's on track, ladies and gentlemen.
Not only am I on track, I have not watched a non-horror movie yet.
Damn.
Of the 5 movies I've watched in October, all horror.
That'll change when we watch The Mummy.
Still horror. Horror
eh,
adjacent.
eh. Sure.
Uh
I'll give you that.
so started off with Nosferatu, 1922. Very, very good.
Nice.
Got the juices flowing because the trailer came out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's good. Then I decided to watch The Wolfman, not the original, but the 2010 remake. Not nearly as good, um, but something about it just made me really excited for the 2025 remake that's coming out with Lee Winnell and Christopher Abbott.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Or actually, I know why. It's just because those two guys are. Well, Lee Winnell is like blue blood. Um,
Yeah.
one of the masterminds behind Saw and a lot of others. But yeah, saw the 1931 Dracula. You know, get the juices flowing for some blood sucking. Then watched
The
Frankenstein this
juices
morning.
flowing for some blood sucking. Put that on a t-shirt.
Thank you. Then tweet. Watched original Frankenstein as well. Getting all
Mhm.
the cum out of the way, the classic Universal monsters.
You did not need to say that. What the
That's
hell?
it's a joke from pretty much it. And then today watch Bram Stoker's Dracula as well.
Mm. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. And
And I'm
obviously
drinking a root beer as well.
Ooh, nice. All right. Well, yeah. Let's before we get into the review for today, let's play a little game. Connor, you got a little game for us? Oh, and he's
Wrong
gone.
button.
And he's back.
So we've got a new game. It's called Movie Reveal from the same people that brought us Movie Grid and Movie Pyramid. And basically, instead of trying to figure out a bunch of movies, our goal is now just to figure out one movie.
Yeah.
And we have the option of using hints. We are allowed to we're allowed to know the top 3 actors, the director, writer, cinematographer, genres, Oscar nominations, the release year, the duration, as well as ratings from different sites.
Mhm.
But if we use any hints, we lose all our points at the end. We get 5 points to try to figure out what the movie is.
Okay.
So
Let's do it. I don't know
we got a
where.
one word movie title.
Okay.
That's all the information we have.
That's it. Well, do we want to do? I don't know. Like take one of the low point ones.
Or with your release year, maybe.
Do we do release year or genre? Because I feel like they're
Release.
it's
I
the
think
same.
release year helps a ton.
Well, I feel like genre helps too. It's the same amount of points.
I
They're
I,
both
I
10.
think release helps more because then you can narrow it down. Like genre, it's like I don't know.
All right, we'll do release year 2023.
Okay,
Oh,
one
all right.
word from last year.
Oppenheimer.
Ferrari. I swear to God, if it's Oppenheimer,
We have 5 guesses.
Yeah, do you want to do Oppenheimer?
might as well.
It's not
No.
Oppenheimer.
Okay, thank God. All right, what's the next thing we want to do?
Barbie.
I was thinking that too.
Do we want
Barbenheimer?
to look at the Rotten Tomato or one of these ratings to see if it was
I
good
think
or
box
not?
office might tell a lot about this movie.
Yeah, let's do box office.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
it made over
it's
a billion.
Barbie.
It's Barbie.
It's
gotta be
Barbie.
Yeah, it's a movie that made $1.4 billion.
Look at that. And
Yeah,
there it
there we go.
is.
$1.4
Top
billion.
60%.
Yeah, we got a score of 175.
Damn. That's hilarious. Oh my God. Well, there it is. There's the game.
Yeah, that went by a lot faster than I thought.
Yeah. See, and if we had done not the release year and done the genre, adventure, comedy, fantasy, would have given me nothing. Just absolutely nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Fair.
I would have been like, Pan's Labyrinth. I don't know.
Pants Labyrinth.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's a real funny movie, man.
Oh, man. All right. Anyways, are you ready to talk about Dracula?
Yes.
Dracula. I don't actually have a stinger for it, so I was just gonna play the intro again, but I'm not gonna do that. All
Please
right.
tell our audience.
All right. Bram Stoker's Dracula is a 1992 American gothic horror film produced and directed by one Francis Ford Coppola and written by James V. Hart, based on the 1897 novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. So directed by Coppola, screenplay by Hart, produced by Coppola, Fred Fuchs, and Charles Mulvihill. Fred Fuchs, known for also producing Godfather Part 3 and The Virgin Suicides. So, got some good stuff
Runs
there.
deep with the Coppolas.
Yeah, he did. And then starring Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, and a bunch of other people. With cinematography by Michael, my favorite name we have ever done on the Filmbox podcast. My favorite name, Michael Ballhaus.
Ballhouse.
Michael Ballhaus.
Ball up top.
And music by Wojciech Kilar. I'm sure I pronounced that totally wrong. Because he is Polish, and yeah, I don't speak Polish. Produced
You know
by,
how to say my last name though.
yeah, well, that's an easy one.
Sam, do you know how to say it?
My last name?
No, obviously. No.
My last
This
name.
person's name.
Oh, where are you finding this?
It's Wojciech is his first name.
W-O-J.
Is pronounced. Oh yeah, okay. All right. Can I show you guys? I'm gonna share my screen because you know what? How on Wikipedia they have like pronunciations. Like, how do you pronounce this guy's name? I just want to show you what I'm looking at right now, and I'm sorry, audience, for not being able to see this, but just take a look at how they the pronunciation for this man's name.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Wojciech.
Yeah, look at the Polish. How? What is that? What is that? Anyways.
And shout out speech language pathologists. You know how to decipher that.
Yeah. Anyways. This is considered his greatest success. But he has composed over 100 titles in Poland. So, yeah, he also did The Pianist and Portrait of a Lady in 1996. And he also did the trailer music for Schindler's List, which is weird. Cool. Anyways, this movie was released November 13th, 1992, and with a runtime of 128 minutes and a budget of $40 million. Can you guess how much money it made at the box office?
210.
Sam, do you have a guess?
50.
215.9.
Oh right, Connor. Did you cheat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh man. All right.
Well, I was on the Wikipedia page to look up the name.
Fair enough.
You scroll a bit.
Fair enough. All right. Sam, do you have reviews for us?
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's do that.
All right. So
There's a stinger for today's episode.
on our good friends at Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter gave this movie a 69%. Nice.
Nice. Fits in with
then-
with this movie, really.
Yeah.
And then the audience, the popcorn meter is a 79%.
Okay.
So a little bit higher, 10 points higher. So, and on Google reviews, we have a 4.2 out of 5.
Okay.
So, I have one 5-star review that I can share right now.
No, you cannot.
No.
No, you cannot share good reviews of my movie. It's me, Count Dracula.
Gary Oldman.
It's me, Count Chocula. I've made a guest appearance.
You're gonna put you in timeout.
Yeah.
I wish there's a kick button on Discord.
I wish we
Vote
could just
to
like
kick.
mute you.
I'd
Vote to
still be on the recording.
Yeah, but then who's editing this? You. So you'd have to deal with us just talking over you.
Fair enough.
There's your punishment.
God.
All right. So this review says, such a classic and legendary film. This is with a perfect storyline, soundtrack, cast, action, as well as emotion. A film that is ageless, way ahead of its time, and even with age is still perfect. A film that captured Dracula completely and perfectly from the original, with another master performance by the legendary Gary Oldman, along with Anthony Hopkins, especially when you have Gary Oldman. Is kind of repetitive, but
It's all right.
who always goes above and beyond, sealing your movie to be one of the greats, and of course a young Keanu, all nailing their performances. Directed by the legendary Francis Ford Coppola, with another legendary, unforgettable masterpiece film. Very sad that they do not make films like this anymore, and how even today this movie proves how advanced it was. It's honestly ageless. This guy probably said ageless 1,700 times.
Ageless. This movie is ageless. Much like Dracula, this movie is ageless.
I want to push back. They do make movies like this. It's called Megalopolis.
Only one man could be so bold.
Only one man is willing to go into bankruptcy not once, twice.
But twice. Oh, he probably has all his money from Apocalypse Now, so.
Listen, the
No.
man has sold off his vineyard, I feel like, multiple times.
All right, and then this 1-star review. This movie, though beautiful to look at, was an awful adaptation of Dracula. The acting, especially Keanu, was terrible. The accent and wooden performance was excruciating to watch. This movie has no soul, no depth, and even the great Anthony Hopkins came off badly with an overblown performance. Renfield's character was laughable. Gary Oldman's hairdo was a hoot. The movie didn't seem to flow. If you want to see a much superior, less flashy version of Dracula, watch the BBC production starring Louis Jordan as Dracula. Amazing. Mr. Coppola should stick to gangster movies. Megalopolis.
He made one gangster series. It's like, stick to that, man.
So, and that was what really a lot of the. I'm sure we'll get into it in the review, but there's a lot of the reviews, the lower reviews say that, like, if the people that rate this movie high is because you have never read the book.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't really follow the book, so why have the title? Why have it as its title, kind of thing? So
Yep.
yeah.
I feel like it's more of a this is based off Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
That's why it's called. That is why it's called
exactly.
Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Well, no. But that's the point. It's not like this is my version of the book. This is my. I'm using the character from the book.
Correct. Yeah, that's what
I'm not
that's
trying
why
to
I-
retell the book.
Really, the name
Yeah.
should be Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of into it also. Like, I knew obviously the book, but I never read the book, but I didn't really wanted to relate this to the book. It's his version of.
I will say, this is now the third time that I've seen this story in the past 2 days. So I do feel like I have a very good grasp of the plot.
You get it. This is my first. I have not read Dracula, nor have I seen a single Dracula movie. I just know Dracula. So this was my first introduction to everyone.
The
And
only introduction. Go ahead.
it was like I was watching. It's like, oh hey, there's Renfield. Oh hey, it's Van Helsing. Oh hey, look, the Demeter. It's like, I didn't know they were in this story.
Yeah, the first introduction to Dracula I had was Abbott and Costello's.
Oh my
I was just
God.
gonna say, you probably know.
What was that one?
Abbott
Meet
Costello.
Abbott
Frankenstein.
and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yep, Meet Frankenstein. Bela Lugosi.
Oh goodness. Oh man. Well, speaking of Dracula, are you ready to take us um through this movie, Connor?
I am.
All right. There we go.
Okay. In 1462, Vlad Dracula returns from a victory in his campaign against the Ottoman Empire to find his beloved wife, Elisabetta, had committed suicide after his enemies falsely reported his death. A priest of the Romanian Orthodox Church tells him that his wife's soul is damned to hell for committing suicide. Enraged, Vlad desecrates the chapel and renounces the Christian God, declaring he will rise from the grave to avenge Elisabetta with all the powers of darkness. He then drives his swords into the chapel's stone cross and drinks the blood that pours from it, becoming a vampire.
Damn.
That was an insanely cool introduction.
Yeah, I mean, I love the
I think it was,
vibes.
yeah.
The
Oh,
yeah.
the whole like gothic, like you get it right off rip. That this
Hmm.
is like creepy, gothic, dark.
It's like 90s gothic,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like too that it also sets a tone off the bat with as he's about to go off and he is like tonguing down Winona Ryder.
Oh
It's
my
like, yeah,
god.
this movie's gonna be
Horny.
like, yeah, this is gonna be a very seductive movie as well. Which
Yeah.
is a big part of like the whole Dracula lore, is the whole seduction aspect,
Mhm.
which they did not shy away from.
No. But I mean, I really appreciated the set design, the costumes, like throughout the whole
Mhm.
movie, but like obviously right from the start, they do a good job showing like the production designers and the costuming and all that stuff is just it's really cool. They did
So
not.
I didn't look too much into it. You know how did they shoot the battle scenes? Did they use like shadow
It probably
figure
was
kind of
like
things?
shadow box puppets or something like that.
Yeah. But I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think guys, you could tell it wasn't like actual people, but it was like
Hey, it's cool.
Yeah, it allowed them to be a lot more graphic with it. Because
Mhm.
that's the thing too. I love when they show like the Vlad the Impaler stuff. Because I
Mhm.
always thought that was like you always kind of just see like the vampire stuff. You don't get like the the um the warrior stuff, the
Mhm.
prince stuff of him just being like a demon on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So it was cool just to see off rip that he is a bad motherfucker. Really.
Yeah, and his armor was sick.
Oh my god, yeah.
It was so sick. But also, I gotta say too, and I guess it'll be kind of like I'll mention in the next section because it more relates to that. But no, this opening it's cool. Like I was impressed. Like I said, I have no experience with Dracula prior to this movie, so it was cool for me to kind of dive into that.
Mhm. Yeah. And I thought too, going back to like how it was just shot. I just loved how you have after like you the shadow of the one guy getting impaled and kind of
Mhm.
just left to die.
Mm-hmm.
You see him riding back on his horse and it just kind of pans like up, and you just see like thousands of other people like that
Yeah.
as he's just riding off into the distance.
Yep.
It's cool that we don't have to see like this whole long fight to know that
Yeah,
this man is like,
he wrecks shit.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
took down the entire Ottoman Empire.
Basically. But yeah, I mean, other than that though, this opening is kind of, I mean, it's short relatively,
Yeah,
you know.
I did notice
Um,
that Winona Ryder did flinch when she's pretending to be dead, and
Nice.
he did come back, and as he's like kneeling down beside her, she did kind of like blink a bit.
Nice. Man.
Amazon Prime Video did not catch that in the goofs, so I guess IMDb did not catch that in
Oh.
the goofs, but I did.
Wow.
Oh.
But Connor
He's
DB
gonna make
did.
millions. He's gonna
Connor
make
DB
millions.
did.
Count Drama is here to tell you good job.
You guys could just send
That's
the
his name
check
now.
to I'm not saying my fucking address.
you started that and then was like, nah, I shouldn't.
Well, I was never gonna say it. I'm not dumb.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the next section.
Yeah, I mean, first or last thing, electric score to go with the title card.
I love this. I love the soundtrack.
Phenomenal. Just really just set the tone of just having goosebumps.
Yeah.
But moving on.
Set the tone of just having goosebumps. Anyways.
Anywho, in 1897 London, solicitor Jonathan Harker takes the Transylvanian Count Dracula as a client from his colleague R.M. Renfield, who has gone insane and is now an inmate in Dr. Jack Seward's asylum. He leaves his fiancée, Mina Murray, with her best friend, Lucy Westernaw, promising that they'll marry when he returns. Jonathan travels to Dracula's castle in Transylvania to arrange Dracula's real estate acquisitions in London. He meets with Dracula, who finds a picture of Mina, believing that she is the reincarnation of Elisabetta. Dracula leaves Jonathan to be fed upon by his brides before he sails to England with Transylvanian soil, taking up residence at Carfax Abbey.
I just gotta say, and it's funny, it didn't hit me until now when you were reading this, but it's like the whole premise of Dracula at this point is, yes, I want to expand my empire of real estate in London. Ooh, it's his
Pretty
whole
much, yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be an owner of property. It's so dumb.
It's like, do you know who Grant Cardone is? He said that the best way to grow capital is through real estate. And I've been alive for 10 millennium. So I am sitting on a plethora of wealth.
It's be like, I've been trying to invest in the stock market, but it's not really working all that great for me.
Can you tell me what the Bitcoin is?
I got tricked by a pump in the dump scheme.
What is this Doggy coin?
Oh my god.
What is
I
to
love
the
it.
moon?
I love it. I think for me, at this point, I knew I was in for a long ride with this movie. Like it is a slow burn
Yeah.
for most
In the
of it.
beginning, yeah. I
Yeah.
I found myself, getting sidetracked a couple times, but
Yeah, it is a slow mover, that's for sure. And for me, that kind of works to the film's detriment a little bit. It's like they focus a lot on the style and like how stylized it is. That like it gets to points in various scenes for me where it's like, all right, let's just like come on, let's move it along. Come on, Francis, let's wrap it up here. But I do like how Dracula looks, when you meet him in the modern day. He looks properly creepy, and that works for me.
yeah.
and Gary Oldman's design is really great too.
Because honestly, like when he was dressed up as Dracula, I honestly couldn't tell it was him.
Well, it's interesting, and the thing I wanted to bring up in the last section that I guess I'll bring up now is I mean I knew it was Gary Oldman, but
Oh yeah,
like
me too.
when
Yeah.
you look at it, like this is 1992, and Gary Oldman by all accounts is still young, but they pretty much nailed the look of the idea of how he looks when he's older. Obviously, all the makeup, he looks like Dracula, but he looks like an older Gary
No, yeah,
Oldman,
yeah, I can see
which
that.
is
Yeah.
it's impressive. It's impressive for for the time, for
I can see
being
that. Yeah.
20, 30 years prior to today.
Just- yeah.
Um, but I think the characters are fairly interesting. I mean, at this point, it was cool seeing a young Keanu as well in this.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even realize he was in this.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I knew he was in it. I knew the because I had looked it up prior to watching, but like, there's a lot of good names in this movie, and I love it.
hmm
Um,
And I know I know in one of the reviews I said that say that Keanu didn't do well and he was bland. I didn't really see that. I think it was just
ah,
I think it was
young.
just him. I think it was just him, you know?
I think he's young, and
Was this
like
one of
at
his
this
first?
point, well, that's a good question. Keanu, when was Matrix?
It's
Um,
90 something.
yeah.
99.
Let's see.
90. He did
So
Speed in 94. He did Point Break in 91.
filmography. Here we go. It was not his first movie by a long shot. But you know,
It was
other
one of the
prior
first
to
movies,
that, I
right?
mean, he was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. You know, Dangerous Liaisons. I don't even know. I mean, I don't know how like leading he was. Point Break was right before this.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, he'd been
A few,
in
yeah.
movies before. He has a filmography at that point. I don't know. It just felt like this wasn't like if I were to cast this movie again, I would not put Keanu Reeves in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It wasn't. Yeah, I could see that.
Sort of out of place. You know what I
You
mean?
know, people see him as John Wick, as like the Matrix and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and that's more his style. I mean, he's an action guy. He's not really like you put Winona Ryder in this movie, and it's like 100%. That
Oh,
that
perfect.
works.
Yeah,
That fits.
absolutely.
That is the kind of person this is not the kind
Even
of
like
movie.
Anthony Hopkins, like you
Yes,
put that guy in there, you know.
like that's the kind of movie that it just works for them, but not so much for Keanu. And
I
I
still
think
think
that
he did. Yeah, I think he still did a good job, but
yeah.
again,
Um
not his kind of style.
yeah, no. But like overall the characterizations feel solid. I mean, I felt like I was kind of getting to know people a bit and all that kind of stuff. Um so that was good. Um and then I kind of got the sense of like, okay, this is how this movie's going to go with the whole flirting scene with Lucy.
Oh yeah,
When
yeah.
she's
It
like
was.
is like teaching Winona Ryder like here's how you do it, and she just goes up and flirts with three dudes like off the
Yeah.
rip. I was like, okay, this movie's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
um,
Francis, you horny bastard.
oh my god, it's just the whole movie is just like okay, whatever, man.
hmm
But it is what it is. So, um, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy this first part, um, quite a bit.
I think this part. Yeah, I could see that.
Getting to know the characters was fun, you know.
Yeah.
hmm
I would say it was.
Thank you for saving us for stalling.
Sorry about that.
Nope,
Emergency
not
phone call.
addressing it. We're good.
Wait, what? What are we talking about?
Huh? What happened?
But yeah, I feel like I like to what you were saying before, especially right in this first chunk. it's almost to a fault we're spending so much time establishing everything.
Yes.
Like we're learning, okay, here's Jonathan, here's Mina, here's Lucy, here's all of like Lucy's lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Here's everything that's happening at with Dracula um in his house. And I feel like very little is happening plot wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not this section, it's the next section where I'll bring up the point, but I just feel like you could definitely cut some of this out.
Yeah, they just spend. I mean, you're adapting a book,
Mhm.
and at some point, like you can't spend all this time fleshing out background for every single character
Mhm.
and giving them all multiple scenes where each of them get to be kind of characterized in a different way, and it just it slows things so like down so much, and it takes the focus off of Dracula and Jonathan, and the main focuses.
Mhm. But I mean, I will say, like, I love the way the movie's shot and edited,
Oh yeah.
especially like once you get to like Dracula's castle.
Hmm.
I know we touched upon it with the shadows, in the first part, but the way that they had the shadow of Dracula move in a way that
Hmm.
Dracula wasn't moving,
Hmm.
that was a great touch. Um, how it would linger in a spot that he wasn't was a great touch too.
Yep. Yep. It's cool.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
to their credit, I mean, it's obvious that Coppola. I mean, obviously, he's one of the greatest directors of all time. He knows how to shoot a movie.
yeah.
Like he knows how to stage a film and make it look good. Um, I just think that there's too much focus on too many things.
Yeah.
Do we want to move to the next section, or does anyone else have anything to add here?
I'm good with this section.
I will say, uh, now having seen a bunch of Dracula movies, I kind of wish they established a bit more with Renfield.
Hmm.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
because watching Dracula, the 1933 one, I know that like he is the one who originally went to Dracula's manor. He went crazy. He became like Dracula's servant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for you, like this is your first time watching.
Yeah. I knew he just. I mean, if I knew the story summary a little bit, but like
Mhm.
yeah, it's just he was just a fucking crazy guy. He was just a
That's
nutso.
the thing. I feel like of all the characters that got very fleshed out, he's one I feel like they should have because there's a lot
Yeah.
of layers to that
Yep.
of like I mean they made the Renfield movie last year
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of that went in on like the abuse of it, and I feel like that's something that would have played up here.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys talk about the haunted sex scene with
No,
Keanu?
haven't talked about
Was
that
that
yet.
was that in this section?
But I do have. I
Yeah,
it's weird, man. It's weird.
yeah,
That was the
that's
moment. I mean, that was truly the moment where I was like, "What in the world is happening? What is going on with this
Yeah.
movie?"
this is one where Coppola is just like, hold up, let me cook with this one.
Yeah, and then he spilled it all over himself like a toddler.
I don't know about that.
Oh.
I thought that was a good scene.
It was creepy, but it's weird. I don't know. I mean, maybe obviously because I don't know the characterization of Dracula as much, but like, man, it's just so horny. Like,
Good
I
joined
man,
yeah
people.
yeah. Again,
it's
that's a huge
creepy.
part of the character.
It's
Yeah,
creepy.
it's
I'll give
it
it
is
It's
the
that.
yeah.
Like the the costuming and the creature designs they look good. They look great. It's weird. The whole it was weird.
Yeah,
I literally wrote in my note. I'm looking at my notes. I wrote, "There's some weird ass shit like the set scene with Keanu."
well, I wrote in my notes too. I like that Dracula shows up and he's like, "No, don't touch him. He's mine." And I wrote like, uh, he shows up and he's like, "I'm gonna show you how to suck that dick."
Yeah.
Whoa.
God.
That's the vibe he brought to the function.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No. Don't like that. Don't like that choice.
Yeah, and then the boats. I feel like the boat scene always comes and goes so fast in all of these movies.
Yeah.
The
I didn't
Demeter,
even. It meant
like that's
nothing
what
to me.
I'm glad the last voyage of the Demeter came out because it's literally a movie just focused on it.
Hmm.
Because it's a cool thing that's just one chapter of the book that never gets any play in a movie, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just comes and goes so fast.
Yep.
You guys ready to move on?
Yes.
Yep.
We can move on.
Alrighty. In London, Dracula hypnotically seduces and bites Lucy at night while Mina watches. Dracula appears young and handsome during the daytime and meets and charms Mina. She begins developing feelings for Dracula, accompanying him on several outings. Lucy's deteriorating health and behavioral changes prompt former suitors Quincy Morris and Dr. Seward, along with her current fiance Arthur Holmwood, to summon Dr. Abraham Van Helsing, Seward's mentor, who recognizes Lucy as being the victim of a vampire. When Mina receives word from Jonathan, who has escaped the castle and recovered at a convent, she travels to Romania to marry him. A heartbroken Dracula transforms Lucy into a vampire. Van Helsing, Holmwood, Seward, and Morris kill the undead Lucy the following night.
Um.
So this is the part that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
That one section was 1 hour of screen time.
It was a lot. It was a
There was,
lot.
yeah.
This is the part I think for me where it just really loses me. I mean, it drags,
Mhm.
and it doesn't need to. It really doesn't have to.
You really
Um,
don't need to show the relationship of Mina and Dracula like build up like in a rom-com.
no, and I think if you're gonna commit to Dracula being like a seducer, like really good at making people horny for him, then just make that's how it goes. Like Mina sees this guy and is like, holy shit, because at that point already she's already like ready to be unfaithful to Jonathan.
The thing is, Dracula has like it's not mind control, but he can make
Yeah.
people do
Yeah.
Right.
what I because like when she watches or when she sees him bite Lucy, he's like, "Nope, you didn't see me," and he's just gone from
He's
her
just gone.
memory,
Yeah. And
even though
I
he's still there.
I have a gripe with that moment, by the way. By the way.
Mhm.
Um and I again didn't see this movie before. Don't know much about Dracula. I thought it was the Wolfman.
Yeah,
It was
Oh.
like I was like, why is the Wolfman here? Like, what is
why is the
going on?
Wolfman fucking her?
Yeah, I was genuinely so confused. And I spent the whole middle section of the movie trying to connect that dot of like, what the fuck is up with this Wolfman?
Yeah, no, Dracula can like turn into a wolf, but a werewolf?
Sure. Sure,
Well, because you
man.
see all, I guess we're all used to these movies where Dracula turns into a bat.
I mean,
Yeah.
You know.
it's kind of his whole deal, right? He's just like
Yeah.
Bat guy. He's Bat.
This is
I'm
Batman.
Batman. I'm Batman. Ooh.
Um,
I don't know, man.
yeah, this part too is where Jonathan really takes like a backseat to
Oh my
like,
god, he's like barely in it.
yeah, you really forget about him.
Yeah. I literally at times I was thinking like, man, where the hell is Jonathan? Like, what happened to this dude?
He was in the entire first half of the movie, and then he's just
Yeah.
like, all right, bye.
We lock him in the dungeon and leave him be.
It's like, oh,
I do love though. I gotta point out, there's the moment in the grave right before Lucy gets like absolutely ravaged by Dracula. There is a
one way of putting it.
there's a moment of that makes me really appreciate the technicality of the filmmaking here when like the moon it's like the shot of the night sky and then they overlay it with Dracula's face.
Yeah,
That was
they
it's
do.
cool. They do a lot of stuff like that. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
when they just put his eyes over the sky, it's
yes,
so cool.
it's cool, man. And like it's cool in the current age. Doing that in 1992 is even cooler. It's hard to do that. You know, you can't
It's a
just
true
like
visionary move to do it.
right, and you can't just like, all right, let's put a digital effect over it. We'll just, you know, we'll turn the opacity on this one on this clip to like 10 and we'll be fine. Like, no, you have to actually like do um like there's editing techniques and
practicality stuff. Yeah.
right, you gotta like put clips on top of each other, like put like film reel clip. I don't know the technical aspect, but it's really cool.
But
And
I
there's a
know
lot
we've
of
talked about this before, but practical effects is so much.
oh, it's awesome.
You know, I don't want to go over it again, like we always do every podcast.
Practicality
but
is king.
It's so much better than all the new stuff right now, nowadays.
Yeah.
And then I watched The Crow, which is also
Yes.
another like gothic horror a couple months ago, from the 90s, and
Yep.
it was the same like vibe, and it was I never wasn't a fan of, well, I guess I wasn't really introduced or exposed to these kind of filmmaking in the 90s.
Yeah.
But give me some more of that. Like it's actually really good.
It's good stuff. No, gothic stuff is solid. It's a cool vibe. I mean, I enjoy the gothic type of stuff so much, even though I know hardly anything about it, that like our next D&D campaign when we do it is gonna be gothic themed.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to, you know, doing more stuff with that. I do want to mention though, a couple things. One of the downfalls, and we've touched on it a little bit here, is that like this movie is wildly experimental, I think, to a fault. Like they focus a lot of time being like, look at this cool shot that I did. Look at this cool, you know, look at this effect. Oh, look at this stuff. And then it's like, okay, we're doing this over and over and over again. And it's like, come on, let's just like move along with the story here. And I know it's like setting the atmosphere and it's like part of the gothic thing, but they really just do too much.
Yeah. Because I feel like some stuff, the stuff that worked,
Mhm.
but I feel like it's when, I don't know, because you can never tell a director like him, like, all right, yeah, that's probably good. We can stop there.
Mhm.
So you kind of just have to live with, if he says like, hey, I want to get a shot where like we're up like 30 feet and just kind of shaking the camera.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to be like, I mean, okay.
Yeah, right. It's like, all right, do what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, we're not even halfway through this movie yet.
You know. I gotta say though, I don't know. I Bram Stoker, man, didn't know you, but man, you're good at naming stuff. Dracula, Renfield, and Van Helsing are like amazing names.
Oh my God.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And getting Anthony Hopkins to play Van Helsing was like the best choice that they could have made.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, makes me wish that you guys ever watch the Hugh Jackman Van Helsing
Nope.
movie?
No, I haven't.
Ah, well, then this will fall upon deaf ears, but I wish there were more of them.
All right.
I just like monsters, man.
I know.
Like, it's just cool.
No, it is.
That's
It is super cool.
well,
Sorry, I was looking at my notes.
Ah,
there's a brief moment I looked at my notes and I forgot I have a funny note in here. But
coming up. Now, I just like when Anthony Hopkins could just kind of play a weirdo.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that's when he could have his most fun.
Oh yeah. No, and he definitely. I mean, he is. Him and Gary Oldman are the shining stars of this movie for me.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
Like by a mile.
I did enjoy Winona Ryder too.
I thought she was very good. Especially
Aaron?
because, well,
We'll talk about
I
that
thought,
later.
especially, and my literal first note of this was, damn, Gary Oldman has the juice. It was it was the makeout scene that they had before he went off to
Yeah.
war.
Yeah.
And then it was in the last section before this one when she's kissing Keanu Reeves, and then I put, oh, I take it back. Winona has this juice. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's the one who's driving like all this passion behind the
Interesting.
scenes.
Interesting.
I agree with that.
And then I put as a sub note to that, she's kissing everyone like she's about to leave for war.
Yep. I think we got to talk a little bit about the vampirism. Like Lucy gets bit and she's like starting this whole deal with vampirism.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird interpretation that the vampirism is literally just her orgasming constantly. I don't like it. It's weird for me.
It's very weird to be watching with the
Yeah,
volume up.
it was just weird. Like there was no other symptoms besides she's just like constantly having an orgasm.
Like her boob falls out all
Yeah,
the
it's
time.
like Francis, man, you don't have to be that horny. Come on, man. But that
I do
was
think
the
interesting. That was
that
your funny
that was
note.
the funny note that I had in there. Is like the vampirism is literally just orgasms.
Coming. Just
Yeah.
coming. Well, yes, we'll get to that later as well. I was gonna say it's kind of funny that in a Dracula movie, there's only really like one other vampire. Like only one person gets turned, really.
Yeah.
Normally, like a lot of people get bit,
Yep.
and like they don't. Mostly they just die, but
Yeah.
they don't normally turn to vampires. But it's interesting. It was just one. It was very like it's a very
Tame.
isolated story.
Yes.
They did not go tame with the blood, though. I will give
No.
them that.
No. I do like. I know I've talked a lot of not so good about this movie. It finally picks up when the night attack happens. When like
Yeah.
after Mina goes off to get married in Romania, and Dracula's like, "You're an asshole. I hate everything. I'm gonna kill Lucy."
Real quick
And
too, him crying blood, dope as hell.
that
Oh,
was
that
cool.
was sick.
So sick.
Yeah. But like that whole scene where it's like you got them preparing for like we got to defend her, and he, comes in through the window as the wolf, and that was intense, and I liked it. The pace picked up in those
Yeah.
moments a lot more.
Yeah, that's when I noticed. I was like, oh wow, now we're like an hour and a half into this
Yeah.
2-hour movie.
Yeah, and as you can see by the way we're talking about, it's literally like we had a lot in the beginning and a lot at the end, and fuck all in the middle.
Yeah.
But no, I did like that part, so I gotta give it credit there. Do we want to go to the next section? Is this the last
Yeah.
section, or do we have two more?
We got two more. so
Okay.
we can go quick through this.
Yeah. Well, there's not much left.
Yeah. These last two sections are like 30 minutes of runtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
All right. After he and Mina return to London, Jonathan and Van Helsing lead the others to Carfax Abbey, where they destroy the Count's boxes of soil. Dracula enters the asylum and kills Renfield for warning Mina of his presence. He visits Mina, who is staying in Seward's quarters, and confesses that he murdered Lucy and has been terrorizing Mina's friends. Though furious at first, Mina admits that she still loves him and remembers Elizabeth's previous life. At her insistence, Dracula begins transforming her into a vampire. The hunters burst into the bedroom and Dracula claims Mina as his bride before escaping. As Mina changes, Van Helsing hypnotizes her and learns via her connection with Dracula that he is sailing home in his last remaining box. The hunters depart for Varna to intercept him, but Dracula reads Mina's mind and evades them. The hunters split up, with Van Helsing and Mina traveling to Borgo Pass in the castle, while the others try to stop the Romani transporting Dracula.
Um, things for me kind of go off the rails here. And again, maybe it's just my inexperience with the story. But I was genuinely confused as to how easily she was just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's turn me into a vampire, daddy. Like that was her whole deal. It's like one moment she's like, I gotta escape this guy. I gotta get out of here. And they're like, you'll be safe here. And then he shows up and she's like, I'm in. Let's do it. Chop, 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 chop. Bloody man. Chop, chop.
I feel,
Go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say I feel like that ties into his like mind control almost. Like there's got to be some of it like that.
Yeah. I think it's
but
her
again,
past life,
like
too.
I think it's her past life, and I think people do stupid shit for love.
Yeah.
She didn't know him. She barely knew him, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't established enough for me that like, yeah, Count Dracula has mind control. Like, yeah, he can do this shit.
Mhm.
But it was just so weird to me. I don't know.
But I actually found the whole scene with them two. I didn't mind it. I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's cool, guys.
I mean,
It was cool, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just it's just everything just feels like, again, looks great, really cool atmosphere. Everything feels off for me.
Yeah. Like, I feel like at this point you kind of know the style of the movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's horned up. Like, for her to become a vampire, she has to suck his blood. So he's not just going to, cut his hand and have her
Be like, here
drink
you
from
go. No, he's gotta like
No, he's gotta,
suckle on
like,
a nipple.
Yeah, he's got to cut like right below her nipple or his nipple, and then have her suck it. And I put in my notes, she's literally sucking his soul out.
Yeah, it's an allegory for
Um,
something in there, right?
There's a deeper message somewhere in there.
Winona Ryder really knows how to go for it, I guess.
Listen, she is driving the passion behind this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Of all the forms that Dracula's in, though, the coolest is definitely like the big bat.
Oh yeah, that is a dope ass. And the
yeah.
costuming, the creature makeup. And
Oh,
stuff,
the makeup and the
Oh.
prosthetics are sick as hell.
It looks awesome. It looks so cool. And so yeah, a lot of that stuff. I mean, I'm all for it. Although it is weird. Again, it's weird that Van Helsing and Mina go off on their own, and like Van Helsing knows what's going on. Like he gets it. He's experienced in Dracula. and immediately falls for the seduction from Mina, like without a second thought. He's like, all right, I'm in. And then he's like, wait a minute. Wait just
Yeah.
a moment.
It's only until she's by his neck. He's like, she's kinky. He's like, wait a second, vampire.
It's like, pause, timeout.
It's like, safe word, safe word.
Yeah, something. It was something. But again, not much really happens in this section. It's like a lot of exposition, but it's like 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. I do love how relaxed Van Helsing is when like he's just explaining everything, and like this is the beginning of the scene when he's talking about how they had to like take care of Lucy. He's like, oh, we just
Yes.
like stabbed her and we just like cut off her head.
Yeah. Like no
And
biggie, bruh.
Jonathan's just like, excuse you, lower your voice. And it just cuts to like kids at this restaurant they're in, just not even, they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, dude's just like eating his lamb chop.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that kind of plays into the performance from Anthony Hopkins is just unhinged in the best
It's
way.
perfect.
Though, because of it. Yeah. It's deliveries like that where he's like casually like, yeah, man, we just, fucking stabbed this bitch through the heart and cut her head off. And everyone's like, huh, bro? What?
What was that?
Like, wait a second.
You did what? Excuse me? There are kids around. Time out.
Time out. You
Even Dracula was like, yo, man, that's pretty shitty of you.
You did what?
That's kind of fucked up. I'm not going to lie.
Brother, she was dead already.
I know I'm a Dracula, but that's kind of messed up. Oh man. All right, let's get to the last section.
Yeah, wrapping this up. At night, Van Helsing and Mina are approached by Dracula's brides. Mina succumbs to their chanting and attempts to seduce Van Helsing. She won. Before Mina can feed on his blood, Van Helsing places a communion wafer on her forehead, leaving a mark that slows her transformation. He surrounds them in a ring of fire to protect them from the brides, then kills them the following morning, chopping off their heads. Dracula's carriage arrives at the castle, pursued by the hunters. A fight between the hunters and Romani ensues. Morris is fatally stabbed in the back, and Dracula bursts from his coffin at sunset. But Jonathan is there and slits his throat with a curry knife, while Morris stabs him in the heart. Van Helsing and Jonathan allow Mina to retreat with the Count, while Morris dies in the arms of Seward, comforted by his friends. That's the end of them. In the chapel where he renounced God, Dracula lies dying. He and Mina share a kiss as the candles adorning the chapel light up and the cross repairs itself. Dracula reverts to his younger self and asks Mina to give him peace. Mina thrusts the knife through his heart, and as he dies, the mark on her forehead disappears, freeing her from his curse. She then decapitates him and gazes up at the painting of Vlad and Elizabeth ascending to heaven together, finally reuniting. The end.
I love
Pretty quick.
This wraps up. All of that wraps up in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so fast.
It's so funny because the entire buildup is like, all the hunters are like, oh, we're gonna meet him here, and then it's revealed like, nope, Dracula outsmarted us. He's actually there, and it's like, oh, shit. Okay, we're gonna try to meet him there. It's like, oh nope, he outsmarted us. He's actually there. It's like, oh shit. And then the one chance that he actually just pops up out of his coffin, they're like, no. Immediately. There's like 1 second of time between him popping up and him getting his throat sliced and just stabbed.
Yes. It moves so fast.
Yeah.
Like, I like the intensity of it, but man, it's it literally moves at like breakneck pace. They were like, we're running out of money, Francis. We have an hour left in this movie to make.
Francis, you have nothing left to sell.
Come on, let's wrap this. He was like, fucking fine. All right, just like have him die so fast. Have him die quick.
We don't. Okay, how about this? We don't need any other men there for the ending. Just
Yes.
send them home.
Just
Yes.
need boobs in there.
What does that
too,
do for the
so-
budget?
It's weird for me too. I mean, again, might be a story element. Van Helsing is like, I know what'll help stop your transformation. Eat a Snickers. Like, literally, that's basically what he did. You're not you when you're hungry. Here. He gave her a cracker.
Anything Christ-like will help.
Yeah. It's like, and it works. It worked. To his credit, he's like, yeah, man, I'm a goat. I'm a genius. Man, all she needed was a little wafer, and we're good.
I mean, he could have put a cross on her forehead. I'm sure it would have done the same thing.
Which, by the way, what a terrible, like, weakness for a power. Like, being able to just be like, here's some food. No! You spoiled my plan!
It's got to be holy. He can't just take like a piece of steak and just slap it on her forehead and be like, "Aha!"
Yeah, but I mean, it's a communion wafer. It's like,
If
It's
anything, that's like, why do you have that? Just lying around.
this is my trusty communion wafer. What do you mean?
Like, I got hungry.
Look, if I need it, I can eat it, okay?
But
It's
guess
a long
what?
journey.
I needed it.
Well, usually those things are like blessed and stuff like that by
Yeah.
priests or something like that. So that's probably the power it has against that. You know,
Yeah, I
you've
mean,
heard of like the holy
yeah.
water like burning,
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's
But,
pretty
like,
much the same thing.
I mean, in theory, couldn't you just have a priest like bless any food and then it's a weakness? It'd be like,
That's literally
Here's-
what they do with holy water.
here's a turkey. Go.
Holy,
It's just
holy turkey.
holy turkey attack.
Yes.
I don't know, man.
We're venturing
treading-
into waters. I don't think we want to go down.
No,
on my mic.
but it's okay. It's okay. I didn't like how Mina's role at the end of this movie plays out. Like, she ends up just kind of being like a bad guy and then is like, nah, I'm a good guy again. It just feels, again, having not known the story, it feels weird.
That
Yeah,
I
I-
didn't mind it as much. I thought the duality between that was fine. You know, because she obviously got bit by Dracula, but
Maybe I would have liked it
Mhm.
more if it was built up a bit more. Because, like,
Well, I feel like the whole middle part of this movie is like the transition between, or like the transition of like, okay, Mina's now our main character. Like, forget Jonathan.
yeah.
Like, he's just
But then
So,
you counteract
obviously-
all of that by her being like, she gets to, she kind of starts to fall for Dracula a little bit. But then she's like, okay, well, no, my guy's safe. I'm gonna go marry him, and we're fine, we're good.
Yeah.
But then she comes back and she's like, where's that Dracula? Where's he at? Hit him up. And then the
He's
rest of the
under the
movie, she's
spell.
like, I'm yours, baby. It's like, I don't need that. I don't know. It just felt like out
Well,
of place.
it's the same thing that like Lucy was. Like, after she was bitten, like, she was fine for the most part until Dracula like needed her to do something.
Maybe
It's
that's
just his powers. Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing that you just have to kind of get past. It's just like,
yeah.
if
It's
there's
just how he
something
is.
you need explained, it's his powers.
Yeah. And then it ends so fast. There is no like post resolution, like epilogue. There's nothing. It's literally like they ascend and credits.
No resolution for the men. It's just like, hey, Quincy's dead.
Yeah.
We're all madmen now, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's it.
Jonathan and Mina don't even have that moment together of like, hey man, how's it going?
We just went through hell. Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of went a little Dracula crazy there, but like, we still good? No, we get none of that. It's just gone. It's just ended.
yeah.
And it's funny too because I
Yeah.
watched this. I watched it on Pluto TV, and it had ads on it, which it wasn't a ton of ads, but like every so often there would be an ad.
Yeah.
It was literally the movie. Like we hit the finale, they ascended together, you got the painting, and then ad. And I was like, oh, so there must be a little bit more in this movie. And then it came back and it was just like roll credits. And I was like, that was it, huh? that was all we got, huh? They ran out of money.
Through ads for credits.
Yep. But
I'd raise some hell.
yeah. But all right. Any other notes about this movie?
I think so.
All right, let's move on to the final part of our reviews. We got the scores to run down, starting off with the acting. Who wants to kick us off there?
I can go.
All right.
I'm giving the acting a nice solid 4 out of 5. Yes.
No, nothing. Nothing.
Mr. Smirk.
Nope.
Yeah,
We're good.
Okay.
We're
Mr.
good.
Smirk is disagreeing with me.
Continue your analysis, please.
I think with a movie like this, you have to understand the tone. Not like us, the audience, but I think the actors have to understand the tone, and I think they did. Specifically, like Gary Oldman brushed it as Dracula. I think it's a standout performance. Same with Anthony Hopkins, standout performance. I think Winona Ryder was very good in this role. Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves. There's really not much more to say about that, especially because he gets sidelined for half a movie. And I feel like a lot of the side characters get a decent amount of room to breathe and develop themselves. Not too much to overstep, but enough to care when like Quincy dies. You're like, oh, I kind of like Quincy. So 4 out of 5.
All right. Sam, what about you?
I gave this score a solid 3.5 out of 5.
All right.
Like Connor said, I think Oldman and Hopkins and Ryder were all fantastic. Keanu's acting could have been a little bit better at some points. I think he did fine. But again, like we said, this just isn't his type of role in movies. So I maybe I would have liked it better if they had somebody else in that role. And then the side characters were all fine, and nothing too, Carrie Ells and whoever played Lucy was fine. Like nothing too stand out, but it didn't like take away from the film. So.
All right. I am not in agreement with you guys. Agreeance. I gave it a 2 out of 5.
Okay.
There are 2 stars here. 1 full star for Gary Oldman and 1 full star for Anthony Hopkins. And I honestly felt that everyone else was completely forgettable. I mean, Winona Ryder was fine. I think she matches the vibe of this movie, but like there was nothing about any of the other characters that I can look back at and say like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, and especially with Keanu Reeves, like Sam, you mentioned it. I know we talked about it earlier. Does not fit this movie at all. Not even close. And so it just, I don't know. Everyone else was completely forgettable. The 3 lovers, Lucy's 3 lovers, and Lucy herself too. I mean, they were, it was whimsical at times. Lucy was whimsical at times, but like all of them completely forgettable performances. So I'm at a 2 out of 5. Next, we've got the story concept. Sam, why don't you kick us off there?
All right. I gave the story and concept a 3.5 out of 5 also. One thing I do want to point out is I think it's too horny. I think it's a little too horny. I think the concept of the like Dracula being the seductive villain is great. And it worked well for a majority of the time, but it's just a little bit too a little too horny for my taste.
Yeah.
And they spent a little bit too much time on that. Like that Keanu scene lasted fucking 6
Too long.
minutes.
Too long.
But it could have been only like 2 minutes. But
Francis is sitting there behind the camera. He's like, "All right, just keep going. Don't stop.
But I
just do
do,
it."
and I did enjoy like um the duality of the characters, like Lucy and what's her name? Winona's character
Mina.
name?
Mina.
Mima. Yeah. I did like the duality of that, and so
Yep.
yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, I'm there with you. 3.5. Look, the story is cool. The overall story. I mean, obviously, it's adapting an existing work, but like Dracula and that whole gothic concept is dope as hell. I love it. I think that for this movie, the focus was misplaced in a few areas. Obviously, the middle of the movie was overly long and kind of boring, and a lot of that has to do with where the story decided to focus. Um, but there are really cool elements to this movie. There really are, and um, and obviously the whole backdrop being gothic horror in in a London in the late 1800s is cool. I love it. So I gave it a 3.5.
Kind of right there with you. I give it a 4, just because I think maybe I'm just Dracula pilled. Again, seeing 3 Dracula movies. Well, I guess one's Nosferatu, but
It counts.
yeah. Seeing 3 movies in 2 days. Um, Story is really cool. I love the whole aesthetic that they bring. uh, I like that they do really hammer home the whole seduction element of Dracula. Um, because it's just not something that any of the other 2 movies really did.
Mhm.
Um, was it a lot? Yes. Do I think it was too much? Not really. Maybe if you shorten the movie, would I cut down a couple of those scenes? Sure, but it's not something I feel like I would really nitpick over.
Mhm.
Um, I just like I'm just a big fan of the story. Like,
Yeah,
there's no other reason I would choose to watch it 3 times, really.
that's fair.
So 4 out of 5.
All right. Next, we've got the visuals. I'll kick this one off. Obviously, this is the best part of the movie. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
beautiful. I gave it a 4 for me, mainly because I think obviously it looks great. Production design, awesome. Technicality, great. They do some really cool filmmaking tricks in there. Monster design is awesome. I think they spend a bit too much time making like being experimental and doing all of these things where it actually is a detriment to the story, to the actual movie itself. But like how it looks it looks cool. I mean, it's period. It looks good in the time period. Uh, the monster makeup is awesome. It looks good, So I can't fault it for that. I just think they spend a little bit too much time in doing so. So 4 out of 5 for me.
This is
Yeah, Connor, go. You're next.
yeah. No, this is definitely the best part of the movie for me too. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. Because I love the editing of the movie. Some things I wasn't the biggest fan of. I personally don't like when they make the camera like move like a dog or
Hmm.
like a bird. It's just not
Yeah.
my favorite. I feel it's just a bit too disorienting for me. But I love the other editing that was done, like when they put Dracula's face over the moon, or like all the eye shots in the sky. A lot of the dissolves were cool. The shadows were cool. The use of colors was also really well done in the movie as well.
Hmm.
And then obviously just the makeup, the aesthetics, the set designs, the prosthetics, incredible.
Hmm.
Even like the ones that don't make a ton of sense, like why did he become a werewolf? I don't know. Did he look awesome? Absolutely. So four
Yeah.
and a half.
All right.
Yeah, I'm right there with Connor at a 4.5 out of 5. As opposed to Aaron, I don't really. I'm not gonna put this group in like if it took away from the film as a whole. I just look at as the visuals as just like did it look good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also want to bring up with Connor about the makeup. I really want to harp on the makeup and the costume design also, because I think that was phenomenal, well
Yeah.
done. So,
Yeah.
and everything else you guys said about it. So yeah, great
Yep.
visuals.
Yeah. Plus the score too. It's
Oh, and the
fucking
score, yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, we don't have a section for that, but it does go
It
without
falls
saying that
here.
the music is great. All right, and then we got the writing score. Connor, kick us off there.
This is probably where I'm the weakest, I would say, just because a lot of the plot and like the pacing is, I would categorize it here, of it kind of, uh, it slows down because I think there is a bit too much of an emphasis on development and exposition. I did like that a lot of narrative is told through like diary entries. I thought it's definitely different and unique as opposed to like someone just saying it. Especially because like uh it was relevant to the story that while like Jonathan and Mina were away from each other, they were like writing letters to each other, and Mina was like writing in her diary, so it does make sense why they would be uh writing stuff down. Um but yeah, I feel like a lot of the pacing issues come down to the writing and an overabundance of exposition.
Mm-hmm. What is your score?
3 out of 5.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm right there with the Connor, a 3 out of 5.
You guys are gonna
Again,
have the exact same score.
yeah. um, again, yeah, the worst category that we rank. Um, again, I like I said before, I enjoyed the story and concept, but again, a little bit too horny, and again, the middle half of the movie, middle third of the movie was just a little bit slow, and dragged on a little too much. I wish they uh, focused more on, Mina's character or Jonathan and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And again, for me, I'm lower on it than you guys are. It's still, I gave it a 2. And look, this movie, I think you nailed it. You both nailed it. It's too horny, and it drags on way too long. The middle section is completely paced totally off. There should have been more focus to the end of the film, where like the climactic battles are happening and that kind of stuff. That stuff whips by when that's the more interesting part of the movie. Not the middle third where it takes an hour for them to fall in love, for Dracula and Mina to fall in love. Um, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Um, it's the weakest part of the movie, really. So it's a 2 for me. And that's going to lead us to the overall enjoyment score. This is our most important score of the movie because it's also our final score, our overall score. So Sam, why don't you kick us off on that part?
Oh, all right. Um, like I've said before, I haven't seen too many Dracula movies. I think I've seen, the Abbott and Costello Dracula. I've seen Hotel Transylvania. Those kind of movies.
The
I haven't.
quintessential Dracula movie,
Yes.
by the way,
Yes.
Hotel Transylvania.
Only the first one because I haven't seen the second. I haven't seen any of the additional ones. But I enjoy. I want to get more into this gothic horror genre. Like I stated before, I watched the Crow earlier this year, and I do want to get more into this genre. So, and I'm liking it so far. So for an overall score that I gave this one, I had a 3.9.
Hell yeah.
So just I was looking at the couple other movies that I gave a 4 on. Would I would I watch that one before this one, kind of thing? So
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Um, Connor, why don't you go next?
Yeah. So I enjoyed this movie. I like horror movies. I like my monsters. Keeping it nice and simple. And I feel like this movie delivered on a lot of things I liked. It was extremely like aesthetically like a masterpiece to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, pacing is very, very slow. And that was something that I didn't even mention in like the writing part for me, but yeah, a lot of that writing should have gone towards the ending. But I thought Gary Oldman put in like a hell of a performance. Again, Anthony Hopkins has his best time when he can just play a weirdo, and it shows. Because I watched like The Wolfman from 2010, and you could tell when he's just not having fun, and he just doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun when he cares, and he's putting on a little performance. Uh, so I give this a 4 out of 5.
All right. And for me, obviously, I think I've made it very clear I'm a lot lower on this movie than everyone else. Look, I mean, it starts off cool.
Ooh.
It starts off cool. It ends pretty interestingly. In the middle, it's completely boring, and it lost me. It really did. I mean, truly, it lost me. Um, uh, there's a lot of misguided focus. The acting was not great, aside from Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman, who, again, you mentioned it, they put in rock star performances. And I don't think those two plus the visuals are enough to save this movie. So when you add up all of my scores and average it out, it comes to a 2.88, which I think is fair for this movie. Um, so that's going to bring us to a total score of a 3.59, which places us at 14th on the list, just below by 0.01 points
Ow.
Grown Ups, and just above The Meg. You're welcome.
You'd rather watch Grown Ups than this movie?
By 3.6 for Grown Ups, 3.59 for Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I think that's perfect.
I'd like to change my score.
Nope,
Just
it's
kidding.
locked in.
I don't
Oh
know.
man. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. If you like what you listen to, subscribe, follow us on your favorite podcast platform, leave a rating. Share it with your friends, share it on Twitter, do all that fun stuff. It really helps us out, lets us know we're doing a good job, and all that fun stuff. Check us out on Twitter at FilmboxPod. That's we Connor posts a lot on there. You can also follow our Twitter for our website at First Picture House. That's 1ST Picture House. That'll be linked in the show notes below, as well as visiting our website, firstpicturehouse.com, for all of our articles and all of that fun stuff. You can follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those will be linked in the show notes. And follow us on Letterboxd. You can see what we're watching when we're watching it. Connor watches a lot of movies. You don't have to wait till the episodes come out to find out what he's watching and what his thoughts are and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, with that said, Connor, do you have a list for us?
Nope.
All right.
So they were putting on pause for
Oh,
October.
yes. We're doing...
Yeah.
Well, tune in next time. We're going to be doing more monster movies, and Count Drama might make an appearance or two. So we'll see you next time.
Count dipshit. See ya, guys.
Oh, spooky.
I'll be back.
All right. You had that in the chamber.